Welcome to our real estate deep dive.
Yeah.
We're using some hot off the press data from REMAX Escarpment and Niagara, looking at the week of November 24th to the 30th.
Okay.
And honestly, the numbers are raising some eyebrows.
It's uh, certainly an unusual time in the market.
Right.
We're seeing trends that seem to defy the usual logic.
Like, shouldn't things be cooling down with the holidays coming up? Instead, this data is showing a level of buyer frenzy we haven't seen since the peak of the pandemic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The appointment to sold index, or ASI, hit 7.2.
Oh, wow.
To put that in perspective for you, this index tracks how quickly showings turn into actual sales.
Right.
A low ASI like this means buyers are acting fast, making offers almost as soon as they see a property.
So what you're saying is if I'm out there looking for a new place, I can't drag my feet.
Right.
I need to be ready to make a move the second I find something I like.
That's a good takeaway. Now, what's interesting is that back in early 2020, when we saw a similar ASI, it was because inventory was super low.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone was fighting over a limited number of houses. This time around, there are actually plenty of properties on the market.
So it's not just a simple case of low supply driving up demand.
Precisely. There's something else at play here.
Okay.
You got the holidays coming up, which usually means people are focused on family time and travel, not house hunting. Plus, we have the Bank of Canada rate announcement looming on December 11th.
Oh, right.
Would think buyers would be holding back to see how things shake out.
Instead, they're like, rate announcement. What rate announcement? Let's go see some houses.
Exactly.
It really throws a wrench into those traditional seasonal predictions, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and it suggests a strong underlying demand fueled by something beyond just low interest rates, which have been on the rise. This market is driven by something more.
Okay, let's talk numbers then. What are we actually seeing in terms of properties being listed versus properties being sold?
Well, the gap between new listings and sold properties is growing and rapidly. During the last week in November, we saw sold properties outpace new listings by a significant margin, 52% to be exact.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yes.
It really paints a picture of this competitive market we're talking about. For every house that comes up for sale, there are multiple buyers ready to jump on it.
Exactly. And this is where we need to consider what's happening on the seller side.
Right.
Our data suggests that many sellers are holding back on listing their properties. The combination of the holidays and that looming rate announcement seems to be making them hesitant.
So they're thinking, why risk listing my house now when I might get a better price after the holidays or once the interest rate situation is clearer?
That's a very reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
However, this seller hesitancy actually exacerbates the situation for buyers.
Right.
It constricts the already limited supply even further, making the competition even fiercer.
It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it?
Let's compare November 2024 to the same period last year.
Yeah.
The year-over-year difference is quite significant.
Okay, so we're zooming out a little bit, looking at the bigger picture. What are the numbers telling us?
We've seen a remarkable 21% jump in appointments this November compared to November of last year.
Wow.
We're talking 11,354 appointments this year versus 9,380 last year. That's a considerable increase, signaling heightened buyer activity.
It's like everyone suddenly decided to get in on the real estate action.
Right.
It seems counterintuitive, though, given all the factors we've discussed.
Yeah.
Is there anything else contributing to this increase in activity?
Well, we also have an unusual trend in the timing of new listings. Typically, the dip in new listings happens towards the end of December as we approach the holidays. However, this year that dip occurred much earlier.
So sellers are preemptively hitting the pause button, further intensifying the competition among buyers?
Exactly. It creates a sense of urgency, almost a fear of missing out, which further motivates those who are ready to buy now.
It seems like this November is shaping up to be a truly unique period in the real estate market. Now, let's dive into some more specific details that might be particularly relevant to our listener.
Sounds good. Let's take a look at the week of November 24th to the 30th and see what insights we can glean from that data.
Okay, so this Appointments a Week at a Glance section highlights some intriguing data points. For example, the week of November 24th to the 30th saw 2,219 appointments booked. Now, that's actually a 13% decrease from the previous week.
Right.
Does that signal a potential slowdown?
Not necessarily.
Right.
Well, it's true that the number of appointments decreased that week. It's crucial to remember that we're looking at a very small snapshot within a much larger trend.
Yeah.
A single week's fluctuation doesn't necessarily indicate a change in the overall momentum.
So it could just be a blip on the radar, a temporary lull before things pick up again.
Exactly. However, It's also worth noting that only 198 new listings came on the market that same week, while 305 properties were sold. That difference is quite significant and reinforces the imbalance between supply and demand we've been discussing.
So, based on everything we've discussed so far, what's the key takeaway for our listener? What does this mean for someone who's thinking about jumping into this wild real estate market right now?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned because we'll be unpacking the why behind these trends and, most importantly, what they mean for you.